The knife sliced through the air before it hit the table with a deafening clatter, sending silverware skittering like fleeing rats. If you think you can just waltz in here and rewrite who I am, you're dead wrong, Dad. Ethan spat, his voice cracking like thunder over the Hudson. In that frozen heartbeat, as the family's eyes widened in horror, he realized the document burning a hole in his pocket wasn't just paper. It was the grenade that would shatter the cage they'd built around him. Ethan Harper had always been the good son, the one who smiled through gritted teeth at every command, every expectation etched into his bones like the frost patterns on the windows of their Upper East Side brownstone. Born into old money in Manhattan, where the air smelled of rain-slicked pavement and entitlement, his life was a meticulously curated script: prep school accolades, Yale undergrad, a junior partnership at his father's law firm by 28. But beneath the pressed Brooks Brothers shirts and the polite nods at charity galas, Ethan was suffocating. His parents, Richard and Evelyn Harper, weren't monsters in the cartoonish sense. No whips or locked doors. Their control was subtler, a velvet glove over an iron fist. Family first, Richard would say, his voice smooth as aged scotch, while Evelyn orchestrated the social calendar like a general plotting a siege. Dates with suitable women from the right zip codes. Weekend retreats to the Hamptons estate. And always, the unspoken rule: Harper men didn't bend, they built empires. It started cracking the summer he turned 25, at a firm retreat in the Berkshires. Ethan had been nursing a gin and tonic by the fire pit, the kind of night where crickets hummed like a bad conscience, when Alexander Voss wandered over from the shadows. Alexander was the new associate from the LA office, tall, with that effortless California cool, sun-kissed skin and eyes like the Pacific at dawn, blue and endless. He had a laugh that cut through the pretension, low and genuine, and a way of leaning in when he listened that made Ethan feel seen, not scanned. "You're staring at that marshmallow like it's about to confess a felony," Alexander teased, nodding at the untouched stick in Ethan's hand. His voice carried a faint drawl, the kind that evoked palm trees and open highways, worlds away from the subway rumble Ethan knew. Ethan flushed, chucking the stick into the flames. Guilty as charged. "I'm better with briefs than bonfires." They talked until the embers died, about everything and nothing. Law school war stories, the absurdity of billing 6 minutes for a coffee break, the way New York chewed you up if you let it. Alexander didn't pry into the Harper legacy, didn't drop names or fish for connections. He just was. By the time the retreat ended, they'd exchanged numbers with a casualness that belied the spark. "Hit me up if you're ever in Brooklyn," Alexander said, clapping Ethan's shoulder. "I make a mean breakfast burrito." Ethan didn't text right away. He couldn't. The guilt gnawed at him like a hangover. Alexander's easy grin, the brush of his arm during a group hike, the way his gaze lingered a beat too long. It wasn't just attraction. It was recognition. Ethan had buried his own truths deep, since that awkward fumble with a roommate in college, dismissed as experimentation in the family lore. Harper's didn't do that. Harper's married Vivian types, produced heirs, perpetuated the name. But 3 weeks later, on a muggy August night, Ethan found himself at Alexander's door in Dumbo, the East River glittering below like a promise. A bottle of cheap Cabernet in hand, heart hammering. "Burrito emergency," he lied, when Alexander opened up in sweatpants and a faded USCT. The burritos were mediocre, overloaded with cheese, spilling everywhere. But the laughter was electric. They ate on the fire escape, feet dangling over the alley, trading stories until the city lights blurred. When Alexander's knee pressed against his, neither pulled away. The kiss happened slow, tentative, like testing storm clouds. Alexander's lips were soft, tasting of lime and salt, his hands framing Ethan's face with a gentleness that unraveled him. They tumbled inside, clothes shedding like old skin, bodies mapping each other in the dim glow of string lights. It was messy, urgent, profound, a homecoming Ethan hadn't known he was exiled from. Mornings blurred into weekends. Alexander's loft became sanctuary. Vinyl records spinning Springsteen, lazy Sundays with takeout faux and bad action flicks. Alexander was a transplant like him, but freer out since 16, with a network of queer friends who threw brunches in Bushwick lofts and marched in pride with unapologetic flair. "You're not your last name, Ethan," he'd murmur during pillow talk, fingers tracing the curve of Ethan's spine. "You're the guy who quotes Ginsberg in board meetings and hates olives." Ethan wanted to believe it. God, he did. But the Harper's tendrils were everywhere. Richard's casual lunches turned interrogations. "Who's this Voss kid distracting you?" Focus on the merger. Evelyn's calls dripped concern. "Darling, Vivian's engagement party. Wear the navy tie." And then the setups escalated. A blind date with Caroline, the senator's daughter, at Lou Bernardine. Ethan sat through oysters and small talk, his phone buzzing with Alexander's memes under the table, guilt twisting like a knife. The first real fracture came in October, at the firm's Halloween gala. Ethan arrived solo, per Richard's decree. Family image, son, in a rented tux that itched like accusation. Alexander texted, "Miss you. Save me a dance in your head." Ethan replied with a heart emoji, the boldest rebellion he could muster. Then, across the ballroom, he saw him, Alexander, arm in arm with a colleague, laughing at some partner's joke. No, wait. Alexander was working the room, schmoozing clients, but the sight hit Ethan like vertigo. What if this was it? Stolen moments until the firm chewed them up, spat them out. He cornered Alexander in the coat room, the air thick with wool and desperation. "We can't keep doing this half-life," Ethan whispered, backing him against the wall. Alexander's eyes darkened, hands sliding to Ethan's waist. "Then let's make it whole," Alexander breathed, kissing him fierce and forgetting the world. But the door swung open. Richard, mid-conversation with a donor. Time stopped. Ethan's father froze, face paling to ash, before storming off without a word. The fallout was biblical. That night, Richard summoned Ethan to the study, the room a tomb of leather-bound volumes and oil portraits of stern ancestors. "What the hell was that?" he roared, veins bulging like rivers on a map. Evelyn hovered in the doorway, clutching her pearls like a rosary. "Dad, it's... save it. Voss is gone. Transferred back to LA by morning. And you're on probation. One more stunt. And the partnership? Poof." Richard's finger jabbed like a gavel. "We built this for you, Ethan. Don't throw it away on whims." Whims. The word lodged in Ethan's throat like glass. Alexander called at dawn. Voice wrecked. They pulled strings. "I'm out. But us? That's not ending." Ethan hung up sobbing, the city waking indifferent below. Winter clamped down hard, snow burying Central Park like secrets. Ethan threw himself into work, burying the ache under depositions and deadlines. Alexander's texts dwindled to check-ins. Thinking of you, surfer boy. Then silence when Ethan stopped replying. Self-preservation, he told himself. Survival. But isolation bred ghosts. Late nights in the office, Ethan scrolled Grindr profiles, thumb hovering over delete app, craving connection without the fallout. One Friday, buzzed on bourbon after a client win, he messaged a faceless torso. Up for trouble? The hookup was mechanical, some finance bro in a midtown hotel. All grunts and no grace. Ethan left before dawn, shame curdling in his gut. Evelyn noticed the hollows under his eyes. You need to settle down, she cooed over tea at Bergdorf's, sliding a photo of Caroline across the table. She's perfect. Stable. Like a vault. By spring, the merger loomed, a billion-dollar beast that would cement Harper and Associates as titans. Richard paraded Ethan like a prize stallion, but the bit chafed raw. Whispers in the break room, herds the golden boys cracking, colleagues eyed him with pity, or worse, opportunity. Alexander resurfaced in May, a LinkedIn ping that detonated like fireworks. In town for a deposition. Coffee, neutral ground. Ethan's hands shook typing yes. They met at a hole-in-the-wall in Chelsea, the kind with chipped mugs and no Wi-Fi. Alexander looked older, sharper, Ella's sun carving lines around his eyes, but his smile disarmed. I miss you, Alexander said. No preamble, stirring sugar into black coffee. Every damn day, Ethan's chest cracked open. I pushed you away. I'm sorry. It's just, they're everywhere. I know. Alexander reached across, thumb brushing Ethan's knuckles. But you're not them. Come to LA. Start over. We could. The what-ifs tumbled out. Apartment in Silver Lake. Lazy hikes in Griffith Park. A life unscripted. Ethan leaned in, foreheads touching, the cafe fading to white noise. When they kissed goodbye in the alley, tasted like possibility. But Richard's spies were legion. A week later, the axe fell. Voss is poison, Richard growled over steak at Del Frisco's. I had him blackballed from 3 firms. You want that on your conscience. Betrayal burned hot, then cold. Ethan confronted Alexander that night on a bench in Washington Square Park, rain slicking their coats. Did you know about the merger sabotage? Alexander's face crumpled. What? No, Ethan. I swear. Save it. The words tasted like ash. Ethan walked away, the document in his pocket, a non-disclosure agreement his father had forced him to sign years ago, binding him to silence on family matters, feeling heavier than lead. It was the chain, forged in love's name, that kept him leashed. Summer sweltered, the city a pressure cooker. Ethan dated Caroline dutifully, dinners at Per Se, weekends in the Hamptons where she tanned topless and he averted his eyes. She was kind, ambitious, everything a Harper wife should be. But in bed, her touch was polite, perfunctory. Ethan's mind wandered to Alexander's calluses, the way he'd hum off-key in the shower. The betrayal deepened when Caroline confessed. Over champagne at a rooftop bar. Your dad asked me to keep an eye on you. Make sure you're focused. Ethan's laugh was hollow. On what? The throne, she flushed. He loves you, Ethan. In his way, his way. The phrase echoed as he ghosted her, diving into work like a man possessed. The merger closed in September, champagne corks popping in the boardroom while Ethan toasted with numb lips. Richard clapped his back. "Proud of you, son. This is your legacy." Legacy. A gilded tomb. Fall leaves turned the park to fire, mirroring the blaze in Ethan's gut. A package arrived at the office, unmarked, from LA. Inside, a dog-eared copy of Howl. Ginsberg's raw howl underlined in Alexander's scrawl. "For the mad ones, the ones who howl back." A note. "I didn't betray you. Fight for us. Or let me go for good." Ethan's resolve fractured. He drove to the family estate that weekend, the throughway a blur of taillights. Evelyn greeted him with hugs and martinis, Richard with a scotch and merger metrics. Dinner was ritual: roast beef, creamed spinach, the crystal gleaming under chandelier light. His brother, Marcus, home from London, smirked across the table. "Heard you ditched the senator's girl." "Slumming it? Leave it, Mark," Ethan muttered, fork scraping china. Richard cleared his throat. "We've got news. Vivian's firm is merging with ours, full integration. And you, Ethan, will lead the matrimonial division. Time to think family, real family." The room spun. Evelyn beamed, oblivious. Marcus chuckled. Ethan's hand slipped into his pocket, fingers closing around the document. Not the NDA, but something sharper. A lawyer friend, off the books, had unearthed it. Richard's will, amended secretly last year, cutting Ethan out entirely if he deviated from family values. Proof of the control, in black and white. He stood, chair scraping like a scream. Rain lashed the windows, thunder rumbling distant. "No," Ethan said, voice steady for the first time. He slapped the will on the table, pages fluttering like wounded birds. "You don't get to decide my life anymore." The table fell silent, save for the patter of rain against glass, each drop a hammer on Ethan's resolve. Richard's face mottled red, fork hovering midair like a guillotine. "What is this nonsense?" he demanded, snatching the document, eyes scanning the fine print. Evelyn gasped, hand fluttering to her throat, while Marcus leaned back, arms crossed, predator-scenting blood. "It's your will, Dad," Ethan said, the words tasting like freedom, bitter and bright. "The one where you disown me if I don't play the perfect son. Marry right, breed heirs, bury who I am." His voice rose, cracking the dam. "You controlled the job, the dates, even Alexander, blackballing him because he made me happy. But this ends tonight." Richard's laugh was a bark, devoid of mirth. Dramatic as ever. "It's contingency planning, boy." Harper's protect the line. "Protect," Ethan echoed, stepping back, the room's opulence closing in, gilt mirrors reflecting his wild eyes, Persian rugs muffling his rage. "You suffocated me." "For what?" "A name on a letterhead." Evelyn rose, tears glistening like diamonds. "Ethan, darling, sit. You're upsetting everyone. We only want what I want. Mom, for once." He turned to her, the woman who'd bandaged his knees and baked lopsided birthday cakes, now a co-conspirator in his erasure. "I love him. Alexander. A man. And you saw us at the gala and said nothing." Her lips parted, fish-like, before she collapsed into her chair, whispering, "It was a phase. Like your poetry in high school." Marcus snorted. "Phase? Bro, you went full rainbow parade. Dad had to clean it up." "Shut up, Mark." Ethan whirled, fists clenched. His brother, the golden spare, with his hedge fund millions and trophy wife, had always been the echo, amplifying Richard's barbs. "You enabled it." Laughed behind my back. The storm outside peaked, lightning fracturing the sky, illuminating the family's fractures. Richard crumpled the will, tossing it aside. "Enough. You're emotional. We'll talk tomorrow, after you've slept off this." Rebellion. "No." Ethan's whisper cut sharper than thunder. He grabbed his coat, the fabric heavy with rain from the drive-up. "I'm done talking. I'm leaving. All of it, the firm, the house, the lies." Evelyn wailed, a sound primal and broken. "You can't. We're family. Family doesn't forge chains." He paused at the door, rain sheeting down the steps like tears. "I love you. But I love me more now." The drive back to the city was a blur, wipers slashing at the downpour, radio static his only companion. Ethan's phone exploded, voicemails from Evelyn pleading, texts from Marcus mocking, "Runaway gay boy. Enjoy the gutter." Richard's single call went to voicemail, "Come home. We'll fix this." Fix. As if he were a leaky faucet. By dawn, Ethan was at his sublet in Midtown, a sterile one-bedroom paid from his trust fund, the one loophole Richard hadn't sealed. He packed haphazardly. Suits donated to charity, photos of Alexander tucked into a battered duffel. The will stayed on the dash, a talisman. First stop, the firm. Monday morning, glass towers gleaming under a watery sun. Ethan strode into Harper and Associates like a man to the gallows. Whispers trailed him, interns gaping, paralegals averting eyes. Richard's office loomed at the corner, panoramic views mocking the man inside. "Resignation," Ethan said, sliding the letter across the desk. Typed neat, signed bold. Effective immediately. Richard didn't look up from his emails. Voice iced. "Impulsive. Sleep on it. I've slept for 28 years. Ethan met his gaze, unflinching. "You win the merger. I win my life." The elevator descent felt like freefall. Security escorted him out. Protocol, they muttered, his badge yanked like a tooth. On the sidewalk, autumn wind whipping his coat, Ethan exhaled. Free. Terrifyingly so. He crashed with a college buddy in Brooklyn, a freelance graphic designer named Theo, who clapped him on the back with, "About time, dude. Beers on me." Theo's walk-up smelled of weed and takeout, worlds from the brownstone's polish, but it breathed. That night, over IPAs at a dive bar, Ethan spilled it all, the control, the love, the stand. Theo nodded. No judgment. Queer as folk, man. What's next? Next. The word hung. Ethan texted Alexander at 2 a.m. "I quit." Stood up with the will. "Miss you." Dots danced. Then holy shit. "Call me." Alexander's voice on the line was sleep rough. Alive. "Tell me everything." Ethan did, pacing the fire escape. City lights a constellation below. Laughter bubbled through tears when Alexander recounted his own coming-out war. Disowned briefly at 17. rebuilt from barista gigs and community college. "You're braver than me," Alexander said softly. "Fly out. Tonight if you can." "I can't." "Not yet." Ethan leaned against the railing, Brooklyn Bridge arcing like a vow. "But soon. Promise." The weeks blurred into reinvention. Ethan tempied at a nonprofit, legal aid for LGBTQ youth. Ironic poetry, drafting briefs for kids kicked out like he almost was. The work grounded him, stories echoing his own. A trans teen in Queens, a bi kid from Staten Island. Pay sucked, but purpose hummed. Evelyn called sporadically, voice quavering. "Your father's devastated." "Come for Thanksgiving?" Ethan demurred, guilt gnawing. Marcus sent a check, for old times, which Ethan shredded, the confetti a middle finger. Alexander visited in November, jetting in for a conference, extending to a weekend. They met at JFK, Ethan scanning the crowd until Alexander emerged, duffel slung, grin splitting wide. The hug crushed air from lungs, hands roaming discreet under hoodies. "My rebel," Alexander murmured into his hair. The loft Theo Sublette Ethan borrowed for the night's neutral ground. No strings. They cooked pasta Alfredo, sauce splattering like joy, then made love slow on threadbare sheets, rediscovering curves and size. Alexander traced the freckles on Ethan's chest. "These are mine now." Sundays, they wandered the village, hand in hand at Washington Mews, stealing kisses in used bookstores, the world a blur of acceptance. Pride flags fluttered year-round here, a reminder, visibility was victory. But shadows lingered. A call from Richard during brunch, firm suing Voss's new outfit for poaching clients. "You're doing." "No," Ethan barked, phone slamming down. Alexander's jaw tightened. "He won't stop," Alexander said, squeezing his hand. "We fight smart." Smart meant boundaries. Ethan changed his number, blocked the emails. But the betrayal festered, Richard's reach, Evelyn's silence, Marcus's glee. Holiday cards arrived. Family portrait. Ethan's face photoshopped out. A cruel joke. Thanksgiving. Ethan hosted misfits at Theo's. Queer lawyers. Activist friends. A spread of turkey and tofurkey. Laughter filled the cracks. But midnight found him on the stoop. Snow dusting his lashes. Scrolling old photos. Alexander, sensing, FaceTimed from LA. "Save a drumstick for Christmas." "I'm coming east." Christmas Eve. Snow blanketing the city like absolution. Alexander arrived with a tree in tow, scrawny, adorned with drugstore ornaments. They strung lights in Ethan's new studio in Williamsburg, a shoebox with river views, paid from temp checks and Alexander's couchsurf fund. Cider mulled on the hot plate, Nat King Cole crooning. They exchanged gifts. Ethan a leather journal for Alexander's poems. Alexander a keychain etched howlback. Under the tree, limbs tangled, they whispered futures. LA, Alexander proposed, breath warm on Ethan's neck. Or here. Build something ours. The kiss sealed it, tentative empire. But dawn brought reckoning. A knock. Evelyn, unannounced, coat dusted white, eyes red-rimmed. "I had to see you." She clutched a tin of her famous shortbread, peace offering crumbling. Ethan let her in, heart pounding. Alexander hovered, polite distance. Over tea. Evelyn unraveled. "Your father." "He's sick. Prostate." Stage 3. Didn't want you knowing. Not like this. The room tilted. Ethan sank to the futon, Alexander's hand on his shoulder anchor. Why now? Because I was wrong. Tears tracked her makeup. I saw you at the dinner, so alive. And I chose silence. Forgive me? Not absolution, but a thread. Ethan nodded, throat tight. We'll see him together? She left with a hug, fragile as spun glass. Alexander pulled him close after. You're gold, Harper. Pure. New Year's dawned crisp. Resolutions scribbled on napkins. Ethan to therapy, Alexander to query his novel. They rang in the year on a rooftop. Fireworks blooming over the harbor. Lips locked against the chill. Spring thawed the ice. Ethan landed a staff gig at the nonprofit, advocating for marriage equality cases post-Obergefell echoes. Alexander shuttled coasts, their rhythm syncing weekends in cargo holds of hearts. But Richard's shadow loomed. A letter arrived in April, lawyer-stamped, contesting the will's exposure as defamation. Ethan laughed bitterly, forwarding to his own counsel a queer litigator with shark teeth. The counterpunch, a public filing, anonymized but pointed, exposing elder control in high society families. Media nibbled, Vanity Fair sidebar, NYT op-ed. Harper's weathered it, image intact, but Richard called truce, visit. No agendas. The estate felt haunted, magnolias blooming defiant. Richard, gaunt in cashmere, extended a hand, proud. Despite, Ethan echoed, Alexander at his side, unyielding. With, Richard amended, voice gravel. Bring him next time. It wasn't fairy tale. Therapy unpacked resentments, boundaries etched in stone, but humanity flickered. Evelyn baked. Marcus thawed, begrudgingly. The family a mosaic, cracked but holding. Summer solstice. Ethan and Alexander stood on a Malibu bluff, Pacific crashing below. Rings simple gold on fingers vowed private, witnessed by gulls. To howling, Alexander toasted, champagne fizzing. Ethan grinned, wind-tousled. To standing up, the document, framed in their Silver Lake bungalow. A reminder, control breaks when claimed. Yet life, American as apple pie and protest marches, twisted. Fall brought Alexander's diagnosis, lymphoma, caught early but vicious. Chemo loomed, LA's sun mocking the pallor. Ethan quit the nonprofit, moved west permanent. Infusions became routine. Alexander's hand in his, jokes cracking through nausea. Bald looks good on you, Ethan quipped, kissing his scalp. Remission whispered in winter, confirmed scans a carol. They honeymooned in Big Sur cabins, cliff walks, love rekindled fierce. Back east for holidays, the Harpers gathered, awkward, authentic. Richard, healthier, raised a glass, to family. All kinds. Ethan met Alexander's eyes across the table, the same one where he'd stood years prior. No documents needed now. Just presence. The bungalow in Silver Lake hummed with the low buzz of possibility. Ceiling fans stirring the scent of jasmine from the backyard trellis. Ethan woke to sunlight slanting through blinds. Alexander's arm slung heavy across his waist, breath steady against his neck. It had been 6 months since the rings, 3 since remission, and mornings like this, lazy, unhurried, felt like stolen gold. Ethan traced the faint scars on Alexander's forearm from the IVs, reminders of the beast they'd caged. "You're staring," Alexander mumbled, eyes cracking open, blue as faded denim. "Guilty." Ethan kissed his temple, sliding out of bed. The kitchen was a chaos of half-unpacked boxes. LA move in July, a whirlwind of sublet surrenders and U-Haul epics. Coffee brewed strong, mugs clinking as Ethan plated eggs scrambled with chives. Alexander's ritual. They ate on the porch swing, hummingbirds darting at the feeder, the Hollywood sign a hazy sentinel in the distance. "Therapy homework," Alexander announced, mouth full. "Write 3 things you're grateful for." "Go." Ethan rolled his eyes, but played along. 1. This view. 2. Your terrible dad jokes. 3. You. Alive and annoying. Alexander clutched his chest. "Annoying? After I carried you through chemo cuddle duty?" "Exactly." Laughter bubbled, easy as the breeze. Gratitude was their liturgy now, forged in hospital vigils where Alexander's humor had been the only light. Work pulled them apart days, Ethan at a boutique firm specializing in queer rights, Alexander adjuncting creative writing at UCLA, his novel querying agents with cautious hope. Evenings converged, runs along the reservoir, taco trucks in Echo Park, movie nights with popcorn wars. Friends folded them in Alexander's queer writers' circle, potlucks alive with zine swaps and drag stories, Ethan's colleague meetups, brunches dissecting SCOTUS briefs over mimosas. But roots tugged east. Evelyn's emails sweetened, recipes clipped from Bon Appetit, photos of the brownstone decked in fall finery. "Miss you both." Hamptons in October. Richard's notes were terser, stock tips, firm gossip but thawing, like permafrost yielding. They flew out for Columbus Day, the red-eye depositing them in crisp air, leaves torching Central Park. The brownstone welcomed with open arms, Evelyn's hug bone-crushing, Marcus's fist bump almost sincere. Dinner was a tentative feast. Osso buco, heirloom china, conversation skirting landmines. Alexander charmed, regaling Richard with law school pranks. Ethan watched, heart swelling at the bridge being built, plank by plank. Post-dinner walks became tradition, Ethan and Richard along the reservoir, Alexander with Evelyn at bakeries. "He's good for you," Richard admitted one dusk, benches creaking under them. "Steady, like you taught me," Ethan replied, half joke, half truth. The elder Harper nodded, pipe smoke curling like concessions. Back in LA, normalcy nested. Thanksgiving potluck with neighbors. Ethan's green bean casserole a hit, Alexander's pumpkin pie spiced rogue. They hosted Pride watch parties, parades streamed live, rainbows rioting on screen while friends spilled onto the lawn, beers foaming. Winter solstice brought the call. Richard's cancer returned, aggressive this time. Ethan booked flights, Alexander packing with quiet efficiency. JFK loomed like judgment, but they faced it tandem. The hospital room was sterile symphony. Beeps, fluorescent hum, Richard diminished in the bed, tubes snaking like accusations. Evelyn dozed in the chair. Marcus paced the hall. "Son," Richard rasped, hand frail in Ethan's. "Regrets," Ethan swallowed. "Some. But choosing love? Never." Richard's eyes, watery, met Alexander's. "Take care of him." "He's all I have left." Alexander nodded, grip firm on Ethan's shoulder. We got this. Vigil stretched. Chemo rounds. Cafeteria coffee bitter as bile. Marcus cracked, confessing his own envy. The spare's shadow life. Affairs hidden. Wife oblivious. You standing up? Bravest thing I saw. Evelyn baked through grief. Shortbread tins piling. One night, post-treatment haze, she pulled Ethan aside. Your father amended the will again. Everything to you and Marcus. Equal. No strings. Tears pricked. Thank you. Richard slipped away in January. Snow muffling the world outside Mount Sinai. Funeral was pageantry, black suits. Eulogies polished. But the wake at the brownstone cracked open. Toasts to the tyrant redeemed. Laughter amid sobs. Alexander spoke last. Voice steady. He taught Ethan strength. The rest, we figured out. After, they scattered ashes in the Hudson at dawn. Boat rocking gentle. City stirring awake. To complicated loves? Ethan murmured. Arm around Alexander. LA welcomed them back. Sun a bomb. Grief ebbed in waves. Ethan journaling furious. Alexander channeling into chapters. Spring bloomed. Dogwoods in the yard mirroring renewal. Career crests. Ethan's firm won a landmark case. Trans healthcare protections. Headlines humming. Alexander's novel sold. Queer road trip saga. Dedication. 4E. Who stood. Summer scorched. Pool parties at friends' canyons. Bodies bronzed and free. They adopted a rescue mutt. Luna. All wagging chaos. Teaching responsibility in fur. Fall harvest. East Coast jaunt. Hampton's house now there's partial. Weekend sailing. Sails billowing like breaths held too long. Evelyn visited West. Scandalized by vegan tacos but smitten with Luna. One October Eve. Bonfire on the beach. Malibu sands glowing. Waves a hush. Alexander dropped to knee. Not with ring but vow renewal. We beat cancer. Control. Coast. Marry me proper? Vegas kitsch or courthouse chic? Ethan pulled him up. Kissing salt-laced. Both. All. Wedding was hybrid. LA ceremony intimate. Queer choir belting at last. Then elopement dash to NYC. Evelyn walking Ethan. Marcus best man cracking wise. Vows echoed the dinner stand. I choose you. Every storm. Honeymoon in Provincetown. Cape Cod gales. Whale watches. B&B beds creaking. They returned tanned. Tangled in love's deeper weave. Years layered. Luna puppied to senior. Gray muzzles matching theirs. Ethan's book. Memoir of Control's Cost. Topped indie lists. Panels packed with stories shared. Alexander's second novel filmed. Cameos theirs in beach scenes. Evelyn downsized to a condo. Dating a widower gentle. Weekends knitting booties for grandnieces. Marcus divorced. Came out by therapy his new merger. A decade post-stand. Dinner at the brownstone remodeled open. Walls down literal. Table groaned. Roast. Vegan roast. Wines decanted. Laughter flowed. Toasts to ghosts. Ethan rose. Glass high. Alexander's hand in his. To documents that free. The room cheered. Rain pattering soft outside. No thunder. Just promise. But life, that American odyssey of highs and hollows, reserved one last twist. 35. Ethan felt the pull, fatherhood, not forged but found. Surrogacy talks with Alexander. Dreams sketched over dawn coffees. The match. A queer couple in Portland. Egg donor artist. Carrier teacher. Pregnancy news hit like confetti. Ultrasounds grainy miracles. Labor in summer swelter. Ethan coaching breaths. Alexander pacing halls. Baby boy emerged wailing. August 15th. Eyes blue like his father's sea. They named him Reese, Welsh for ardor, home to the bungalow. Crib under the jasmine. Nights blurred. Feeds. Diapers. Tiny fists clutching fingers. Evelyn cooed via Zoom. Marcus sent trucks fleet. The family, once fractured, knit whole. One dusk. Reese napping. Ethan and Alexander on the swing. Feet tangled. "We made this," Alexander whispered. "Eternal." Ethan nodded, sunset gilding them. From one stand, the document yellowed in its frame, but its fire, eternal. Wait, this is only up to file 3, but the story needs to reach 5,000 words across 5 files. I need to extend the narrative to ensure each file is around 1,000 words and the total hits 5,000. Let me adjust and continue seamlessly. After the wedding, delve deeper into daily life. Introduce a new conflict, perhaps external prejudice at work or internal doubt, to maintain drama. Then transition to family expansion. Revised word count goal. To fit, perhaps the story arcs with more emotional layers in later files. But beneath the idol, Fishers whispered. Ethan's memoir pitch met resistance. Publishers wary of too personal. Agents hedging on the gay trauma angle. Humanize the father more, one suggested, as if Richard's complexity needed varnish. Ethan chafed. Sessions with his therapist unpacking the old control. Am I writing for me, or their ghost? Alexander, mid-revisions, hit his own wall, imposter syndrome gnawing. The novel's queer leads unmarketable per a beta reader. What if we're still apologizing for existing? He vented one night. Laptop slammed. They leaned in. Walks turning therapeutic. Reservoir loops. Dissecting fears under eucalyptus shade. Your voice is the howl, Ethan affirmed. Hand-laced. Don't mute it. Evelyn's visit bridged. She arrived with trunks. Shortbread arsenal. Stayed 2 weeks fussing over linens. Subtly matchmaking with a nice Jewish boy from Temple. Unaware irony. Over dinners, she shared Richard's letters. Post-diagnosis confessions. Regrets over rigidity. Love unspoken. He was scared, she admitted. Wine loosened. Of losing you to a world that chews dreamers. Tears cathartic. Evelyn departed with Luna's paw print framed. A West Coast grandma blooming. Winter brought Alexander's adjunct woes. Budget cuts axing his class. Adjunct life a grind of Uber rides between campuses. Ethan pushed. Query that screenplay. Hollywood's your backyard. The script. Queer lawyers in love amid corporate intrigue. Landed bites. Table read invite. Alexander's glow returned. Additions a thrill. Spring surged. Ethan's book deal inked. Advance modest but mighty. Launch party in WeHo, rainbow crowd. Readings raw. Alexander toasting. To the sun who stood. Summer heatwave tested. Wildfires choking skies. Evac alerts pinging. They bunked with friends in the valley. Reese not yet but dreams incubating. 2 dads. 1 kid. Chaos. Alexander joked. Packing go bags. Fall cooled. Hampton's harvest. Sailing with Marcus. Now out and dating a barista half his age. Stories swapped over clams. You're the brave one, Marcus conceded. Sunset sails. Then, The pull intensified. Therapy unearthed Ethan's ache. Legacy not blood, but blood chosen. Alexander, hesitant post-cancer, warmed to the idea. Aminius? Terrifying. Perfect. Consults began, clinics gleaming, options overwhelming, adoption, surrogacy, fostering. Stories from clients fueled fire, families forged fierce. The match coalesced spring next. Portland pair, vibrant, vetted. IVF cycles tense, needles, waits, hopes dashed once before triumph. Ultrasound heartbeat, gallop like freedom. Labor odyssey, August blaze, hospital AC blasting, Ethan anchoring, Alexander fetching ice chips. Reese arrived 7 pounds even, cry-piercing joy. Homecoming haze, bottles warmed, lullabies hummed, sleep fractured gold. Evelyn flew immediate, cooing Yiddish endearments. Marcus FaceTimed, Uncle Duties plotted. 1 month in, colic nights, Ethan collapsed on the couch, Reese finally down. Alexander curled beside. We're enough. More than, Ethan breathed. The document, dusted monthly, watched over crib, a sentinel of starts. Reese's first birthday dawned golden. The bungalow festooned in streamers pilfered from a WeHo party store, balloons bobbing like drunken fireflies. Ethan woke to the patter of tiny feet, Luna's nails on hardwood, followed by Alexander's groan from the nursery. Little man, that's not the cake. Laughter spilled. Coffee brewing as they assembled the smash cake. Blue frosting smeared in preemptive chaos. The party was small. Writer's circle. Firm colleagues. Portland parents via Zoom beaming. Reese, chubby-cheeked with Alexander's eyes and Ethan's cowlick. Dove in fists first. Face a smuff apocalypse. Cameras clicked. Toasts rang. To family, fucked up and fabulous. Later, clean up confetti underfoot. Reese snapping sugar coma. Ethan and Alexander collapsed on the porch. Beers sweating in the heat. 1 down, Alexander said. Feet propped. 49 to go. Ethan chuckled. But a shadow crossed. Reese's preschool hunt looming. LA's competitive scene a jungle of waitlists and legacy admits. Think he'll get your poetry or my briefs? Both. Poor kid. Alexander's grin faded. Speaking of, my agents call. Sequel greenlit. But they want straightening the subplot, less queer angst. More rom-com. Ethan's jaw tightened. Bullshit. That's your voice. It's money. Reese's college. Alexander shrugged, but eyes betrayed the sting. The compromise nod. Revision's a battlefield. Ethan mediated. Book tour pulling him east. NYC readings. Boston signings. Evelyn's pride swelling. My author grandson, she bragged at Temple. Mid-tour. Crisis. Alexander's ex from college surfaced. Charming editor. Offering notes that reeked sabotage. Dinner professional. But texts to Ethan dripped flirt. Just networking, Alexander swore. But doubt seeded. Confrontation over FaceTime. Hotel room stark. I trust you. But him? History. Alexander's face crumpled. Past is ash. You're my now. Reconciliation in LAX arrivals. Hug fierce. Reese's carrier between. No more ghosts, Ethan vowed. Fall deepened. Reese toddling. Words bubbling. Dada blue. Pointing Alexander's shirt. Therapy evolved. Co-sessions. Parenting the new frontier. Holiday split. LA Thanksgiving with friends. NYC Christmas, brownstone aglow. Evelyn's lax. Marcus's new partner awkward charming. Reese's first snowman. Mittens lost. Joy pure. Winter brought Ethan's promotion partner track. Queer cases surging post-rulings. Alexander's film premiered Sundance. Queer leads intact. Standing ovation. Tears in aisles. Spring renewal. Reese's first steps unaided. Captured shaky cam. Backyard picnic cheers. But betrayal's echo lingered. A client case mirrored. Closeted exec outed by family. Suing for inheritance. Ethan won. But parallels haunted Richard's Willa Spectre. Summer road trip. Route 66 reverse. LA to NYC. RV crammed with diapers. Dylan on loop. Stops. Grand Canyon wonders. Route 40 diners. Motel pools Reese splashing. En route. Alexander confessed. The ex? He offered dirt on your firm old Harper ties. I shut it down. Ethan pulled over. Desert vast. Why not tell? Fear you'd see control again in me. Tears tracked dust. Kiss salty. Forgiveness road worn. We're past that. East arrival. Family reunion. RV parked brownstone curb. Dinner redux, no documents. Just dishes passed. Stories swapped. Reese's second birthday loomed. But a call shifted. Evelyn's health scare. Hip fracture. Fall in kitchen. Flight urgent. Alexander minding Reese. Hospital familiar. Evelyn pale but feisty. Broke the damn stool. Your father's ghost. Clumsy. Recovery slow. Ethan shuttling. Guilt twin to love. Stay, she urged. Reese needs grandparents. Compromise. Snowbird plan. Winter's east. Back west. Balance tipped, work surges. Childcare juggle. Alexander's tenure push. Adjunct hell. Crisis peak. Reese's fever spikes. Dash. Pneumonia scare. Hours blur. Pediatricians calm. But fear raw. Can't lose him, Alexander whispers, holding tiny hand. Discharge dawn. Home cocoon. Pivot. Nanny hire. Sabbaticals plotted. Fall harvest. Reese wordsmithing. Love you. Deadass stand. Garbled nod to lore. Thanksgiving table expanded. Portland parents in person. Toasts to kin chosen. Winter's gift. Alexander tenured. Novel trilogy deal. Ethan's book 2. Deeper dives. Spring. Reese preschool accepted lottery luck. Summer. Beach house Malibu. Waves lapping Reese's toes. One eve. Fire pit crackle. Reese Abed. Ethan unboxed old file, the document. Yellowed. Alexander read. Quiet. Our origin story. Ethan nodded. And ending? Open. Kiss embers. Stars wheeling. The years unspooled like film reels. Each frame a snapshot of hard-won ordinary. Reese's kindergarten finger paints adorning the fridge. Alexander's gray threading his temples like silver wisdom. Ethan's laugh lines etching joy beside the scars. Silver Lake evolved, bungalow expanded. Nursery to boys' room with star-projected ceilings. Backyard jungle gym creaking under play. Luna passed gentle at 14. Buried under the jasmine with her collar bell. Reese placing wildflowers. Tear-streaked but brave. Evelyn's snowbirding became ritual. Winters in the brownstone annex. Baking with Reese. Stories of Richard humanized. Your grandpa once danced in the rain. Suit soaked. To win my heart. Marcus's life steadied. Second marriage to his barista. Twins adopted. Uncle duties boisterous. Work wove fulfillment. Ethan's firm a beacon for queer litigation. Pro bono floods post-backlash waves. Alexander's chair at UCLA. Syllabus queer canon. Students his legacy living. But drama, that American undercurrent, simmered. A 2035 case. National chain discriminating trans employees. Ethan's lead. Threats rolled, emails venomous. Pickets at home. One night, brick through window, glass shattering Reese's peace. Alexander barricaded. Rage hot. They won't touch us. Police reports. Security cams. Perps fringe group. Arrested swift. But fear lodged. Reese's questions piercing. Why mad at daddies? Therapy circle. Family sessions. Resilience built. Alexander channeled into script. Activism thriller. Oscar buzz. Election year churn tensions. Rights roller coaster. Protests marched. Ethan speaking stages. Voice amplified. Alexander homefront. Reese shielded. Climax crested summer 36. Supreme Court challenge. Ethan's brief centerpiece. Oral arguments DC. Family caravan, RV redux. Reese 9 now. Trivia whiz. Courtroom hush. Justices probing. Ethan's words steal. Equality isn't luxury. It's air. Ruling fell favorable. Headlines hail. Celebration riot. DC. Queer bars. Rainbow flags waving. Homecoming parade. LA welcome. Firm party. Reese's sign daddy hero. But betrayal's ghost stirred. Old colleague. Harper holdover. Leaked case strategy pre-ruling. Near sabotage. Investigation cleared Ethan. But wound reopened. Control's long arm. Confront. Ex-partner coffee. Confession bitter. Your dad paid me once. Old habits. Forgiveness? No. Boundaries steal. Fall mended. School play. Reese as tree in Lion King. Parents beaming front row. Winter holidays hybrid. Brownstone bash. Extended kin Portland duo. Marcus's fam. Toasts eclectic. Evelyn's toast. From one dinner to this feast. Reese. 10 by spring. Queried. Tell the stand story again. Porch swing. Dusk purple. Ethan spun. Knife clatter. Will slap. Rain lash. Alexander interjecting. And the kiss after? Epic. Reese giggled. My daddies. Superheroes. Summer road trip east. Grand Canyon to Niagara. Wonder's widening eyes. Back. College talks nascent Reese artsy. Guitar strums echoing Alexander's youth. One September eve. Reese Abed. Ethan unearthed the document. Frayed. Iconic. Alexander traced ink. 20 years. Still burns. Ethan smiled. Good burn. Kiss deepened. Life layered. Epilogue whisper. Reese 18. Ill-bound. Speech at send-off. You taught standing. I howl for you. Family gathered. Tears proud. Evelyn gone gentle at 90. Legacy quilts. Marcus godfather true. Ethan and Alexander. 60s silver. Hands clasped beach walk. Waves eternal. Regrets? Alexander asked. Pacific vast. None. You stayed for the sequel. Laughter wave swept. The document. Museum now. Queer history exhibit. Caption. One stand. Many lives. Humanity's arc. Bent. not broken. Love's document, unwritten but indelible. Fade to skyline, rain soft, thunder applause.